What is going on, YouTube world? My name is Ghiman Mckinney. Appreciate you guys for watching this video today. Be sure to smash this like button right now, as it does help these videos get out to the public and the channel to grow. Subscribe to my channel if you're new as well. I do post a ton of great sports videos on here weekly and almost every single day if I can. And turn on post notifications too, so you don't miss a single one of those videos that I post. Listen, the NFL season is roughly even less than a week away, guys. Less than a week away from Bears and Packers. The season kicks off, in a couple of days, guys. And obviously, guys, look, I love to, make videos 24/7, but obviously I have a life to live. I'm a college student. But, I think I've actually done a good job of covering pretty much the whole landscape of the NFL season this year. In the offseason, I have covered and made at least one video on all 32 NFL teams. So I love to show love to all the teams out there. But today, I'm going to give you guys my bold predictions for the NFL season today. And this pretty much gives you an accurate representation of how I genuinely feel about the entire landscape of the NFL season for the 2019-20 NFL season. So let's get started right at the bat. My first big bold prediction is that the New Orleans Saints and the Los Angeles Rams, yes, both teams that made the NFC Championship game last year, will both miss the playoffs, guys. Yes, I'm not a believer in these teams this year. I think they easily could prove me wrong. They could easily be Super Bowl contenders, but I'm going with the fact that I think that they are not going to make the playoffs this year. Okay, look, the Saints. Drew Brees is 41 years old, guys. He will be 41 years old at the end of this season, okay? At the end of the season, Drew Brees will be 41 years old. He will be defying father time if he plays at an MVP level. And last year, he gave me no indication on that he will do that, okay? In the final 6 games of the season last year, Drew Brees threw 7 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Drew Brees was not a top 10 quarterback the second half of the season last year. He just wasn't. He wasn't very good, okay? And again, the Falcons and Panthers this year are loaded. They're going to be much improved this year. Both teams had a ton of injuries last year. Cam Newton goes down. The Panthers, obviously, if you lose your starting quarterback, you're not going to win many games. The Atlanta Falcons, they were the most injury-riddled team last year. To me, both the Falcons and Panthers are more talented than the Saints this year. I see the Panthers and the Falcons finishing ahead of the Saints this year. I'm picking the Panthers to win their division. The Saints also went 7-1 on the road last year. That usually does not happen in a second year in a row. They are going to naturally regress. Their schedule is brutal, guys. Same with the Rams, guys. They're in for a major Super Bowl hangover. Pretty much, if you're a team that's not named the New England Patriots, over the last 2 decades, you are pretty much guaranteed almost 100% to be worse than you were the previous year. And I think the Rams are going to go through a huge Super Bowl hangover. Their schedule is brutal. I worry about their depth at linebacker and pass rush. Okay, I don't love their linebackers and pass rush. They lost to Ndamukong Suh. The secondary and offensive line is old and aging, guys. I'm just not a believer in the Rams. They were a historic offense last year. I don't think they'll be a historic offense this year. And Todd Gurley's health is a real concern. If Todd Gurley is a lesser version of himself, I don't trust Jared Goff to carry this team week to week. So pretty much combine the fact with the rough schedule and a Super Bowl hangover, I had the Rams and the Saints missing the playoffs this year. Okay, the Carolina Panthers are going to make the NFC Championship game. That is my next bold prediction. I'm a believer in this Panthers team. I really am. Cam Newton last year was 6-2 as a starter before he got injured and he had his shoulder injured and had to have surgery, okay? Cam Newton last year, 15 touchdowns to 4 interceptions before he injured his shoulder and pretty much could not throw the ball past 20 yards down the field. Okay, Cam Newton was playing at an MVP level last year. This is the best running back and the best offensive line that Cam Newton has ever had. And I could argue these are the best pair of wide receivers that Cam Newton has ever had. And this defense is loaded, guys. Arguably one of the 5 best defensive lines in all of football got even better in the offseason. Gerald McCoy, Bruce Irvin, Brian Burns, who is turning a lot of heads in the preseason and training camp, who they drafted out of Florida State. I think he will absolutely ball out. I love this Panthers team. Their secondary is very, very underrated with James Bradbury, and Eric Reed and Trey Boston at safety. I love this Panthers team. I think they can win in a multitude of ways. I expect the Carolina Panthers to be a Super Bowl contender this year. It would not shock me if they somehow end up in the Super Bowl. I have them in the NFC Championship game this year. I think Cam Newton will have his best season yet, even better than the season he had when he won MVP. My next bold prediction is that the Green Bay Packers will win the NFC North. Yes, my team, the Green Bay Packers. I'm not afraid to say it, but I'm going to back it up with facts, okay? Listen, this is the best defense that Aaron Rodgers has ever had since he won a Super Bowl, guys. I'm excited for the defense. This defense is going to be able to get after quarterbacks. They're going to be able to cover players down the field, and they're going to be able to get off the field and get Aaron Rodgers some short field opportunities. They're going to be able to create turnovers. The Green Bay Packers now can physically match up and impose their will on defense That is something this Packers team has lacked over the past couple years. Now Aaron Rodgers does not have to be Superman, okay? And I think that's very key because in the NFC, you're going to need to have a great defense to match up with some of these elite offenses, okay? And to me, Aaron Rodgers is ticked off and motivated, guys. He's heard the talks from Bucky Brooks. He's heard all these NFL analysts on certain networks talk about Aaron Rodgers potentially is not the best quarterback in the league anymore. He's washed up. He's not very good. He's a coach killer. Aaron Rodgers has pretty much heard it all this offseason. He's going to be motivated and ticked off. He is finally healthy. We have improved our offensive line. We've improved our defense. You know, I like our new head coach in Matt LaFleur. I think Matt LaFleur will come with some new schemes and offense, and Aaron Rodgers will be able to trust Matt LaFleur. I really do firmly believe this Green Bay Packers team is good. They're gonna have a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense this year. And I have the Green Bay Packers returning to playoff form this season. My next bold prediction is that the New England Patriots, I hate to say it, are going to go back to the Super Bowl this year. You know, this year, listen, guys. The Patriots won the Super Bowl last year, and they are a better team than they were a year ago. If you were going to, get the Patriots as far as knocking them off, as far as a dynasty goes, last year was the year to do it. It did not happen. They still won the Super Bowl, and now they are a better team. N'Keal Harry will add a new dynamic to this offense. His physicality is going to be very good. I loved him coming out of Arizona State. Josh Gordon averaged 18 yards per catch last year. He is a big-time playmaker that will, love seeing Tom Brady this year. I think Julian Edelman is going to ball out. This defense is loaded. This is the same secondary that held the Chiefs scoreless in the first half of the AFC Championship game. This is the same secondary that held the prolific Los Angeles Rams offense to 3 points in the Super Bowl. The New England Patriots to me have the best secondary in all football. They still got Tom Brady. They still got Bill Belichick. And while I like the Chiefs, I like the Steelers. I like the Texans. I like the Chargers. I like the Jaguars. The Colts, maybe they can make some noise. I just have major questions about those teams. I have zero questions almost about the Patriots. Unless Tom Brady falls off a cliff, which might be possible, but I just don't see it happening, the Patriots are going back to the Super Bowl. Okay, up next. Carson Wentz is going to win MVP this year, and the Philadelphia Eagles will beat the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. I've done a video on this, so be sure to check that video out if you missed it already. But getting to my point, I expect the Philadelphia Eagles to win the NFC. I expect them to win about 12 or 13 games. And I expect Carson Wentz to ball out this year. This is the same guy in Carson Wentz last year. When he was banged up and did not have a deep threat wide receiver, he completed 69% of his passes, 21 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, and only 11 games played, guys. Carson Wentz balled out even last year. And a year or two ago, when he was arguably the MVP of the league in 2017, arguably the best player in all of football, he would have won MVP if he wouldn't have gotten hurt. Now you give him a deep threat in Deshaun Jackson that will add a new dynamic to that team. You have a jump ball wide receiver in Alshon Jeffrey. You have a jump ball wide receiver in, JJ Arcega-Whiteside. Yes. You have a slot receiver in Nelson Aguilar. Not to mention you can work in the middle of the field with Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert at tight end. And this Philadelphia Eagles offensive and defensive line is one of the top 5 offensive and defensive lines in all of football. And when I look at the running back situation for the Eagles, they have an embarrassment of riches at running back. The Philadelphia Eagles have 4 legitimate starting running backs that they can throw at you. I think this Philadelphia Eagles team is just too talented. They are better than the Patriots this year, and I have them winning their second Super Bowl in 3 seasons. And Doug Peterson, to me, is the second best coach behind one Bill Belichick. He'll get the job done. Okay, up next, the Cleveland Browns, to me, yes, the Cleveland Browns are going to win the AFC North. I'm a believer in this Browns team. Baker Mayfield, 27 touchdown passes as a rookie and did not even play all 16 games. That was a rookie record. I think Baker Mayfield will throw a lot of touchdowns this year. You got Jarvis Landry. You got Odell Beckham Jr. now, a top 3 wide receiver in all of football. He's going to do special things in Cleveland, guys. David Njoku is yet to break out. Antonio Callaway is a very good slot wide receiver, okay? You got Nick Chubb. You got Kareem Hunt you're going to add later in the season. I'm all in on this Cleveland Browns team. Myles Garrett on the defensive line, Olivier Vernon on the defensive line, and Sheldon Richardson as well. The Cleveland Browns defensive line is one of the most underrated units of their football team. The defense is going to be able to create turnovers and create big plays. And I think that, Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams will ball out at the cornerback position this year. I have the Cleveland Browns winning their division, winning 10 or 11 games this season. My next bold prediction is that I think that Kyler Murray will win Rookie of the Year. Now, I do think Dwayne Haskins is still the best quarterback in that draft class. Okay, I think Dwayne Haskins is better than Kyler Murray, but I do think Kyler Murray is a little bit more NFL ready as of right now. And to me, I've said it on many occasions, I'm all in on Kyler Murray. I love Kyler Murray. I think he's going to be a very successful quarterback, okay? This is the best combination of a runner and thrower that the draft has ever seen, guys. He's great. He's phenomenal. And to me, him and Cliff Kingsbury really are a great quarterback and coach match. I think they're going to score a lot of points. I don't think Arizona's going to be very good this year. I have them winning about 4 or 5 games. But again, Kyler Murray is going to put up numbers, okay? Cliff Kingsbury said they want to at least run close to 85 plays at times. Now, again, I don't think they'll get off 85 plays a game, but I do think Kyler Murray is going to put up some very good numbers. Schematically, they're going to run an offense he's very comfortable with, okay? And he's going to play a lot. That's the thing. Kyler Murray's already named the starting quarterback, okay? So he's going to pretty much play all 16 games if he's fully healthy, okay? And he's got some very good wide receivers to throw to. You know, Andy Isabella, a guy who they drafted that I really like. I think he's a very good wide receiver. Christian Kirk, you know, Larry Fitzgerald. The Arizona Cardinals have a lot of great weapons, not to mention David Johnson is a great running back. I think that Kyler Murray takes the league by storm this year. I think that because he's such a dynamic player and such a unique player on the run, he can run and do so many great things. I think teams are going to have a hard time adjusting to Kyler Murray, at least very early on. I think Kyler Murray will burst onto the scene, and he will win Rookie of the Year this year. All right, up next. I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to have the best offense in the entire National Football League. And I actually think Matt Ryan is going to throw for 5,000 yards. Last year, guys, Matt Ryan actually came very close. He threw about 4,900 yards last year. So he was not too far off last year. I think Matt Ryan is going to get over the 5,000 yard mark this season. I think Matty Ice is going to ball out. I think the Falcons return to the playoffs. They had a ton of injuries last year. I expect the Falcons to be in as a wild card team this year. I have the Panthers winning the division. But again, I look at this offense. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, you got Hooper at tight end, you got Devontae Freeman at running back, you got Mohamed Sanu. This offense is going to be special. And I think they're going to score a bunch of points, okay? And listen, this is one of the better offensive lines that Matt Ryan has had in a while, okay? The Atlanta Falcons organization went out and drafted 2 great offensive linemen in the first round that I really like. So now the offensive line is set. Now you have your wide receiver set. Now you got your running back there. You got Matt Ryan, one of the better quarterbacks in all of football. I think the Falcons will score a ton of points. I think they're going to be in a lot of close games. So Matt Ryan is going to be relied on heavily. This offense is going to be relied on heavily. I think they'll be the best offense in the entire National Football League this year. The Falcons will be back in the playoffs, in my opinion. Up next, I do firmly believe the Buffalo Bills, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Denver Broncos, and the Detroit Lions, all 4 of those teams, guys, I have winning 8 games this year. I love what each team did. I think the Buffalo Bills are a very underrated roster. Josh Allen, I think he's going to have a breakout season. They finally got him some offensive line help. They finally got him some wide receiver help. Not to mention, this was the 2nd best passing defense last year. It was one of the top 5 defenses in all of football. This Buffalo Bills team is on the upward trend. I have them winning about 8 games this year. I think they're going to be very good. The Jacksonville Jaguars, now they have stability at quarterback with Nick Foles, okay? Nick Foles really will help this team. Last year, if they had any serviceable quarterback play, they would have won about 8 or 9 games last year. I expect the Jacksonville Jaguars to battle it out with the Houston Texans this year to potentially win that division. I think that the Jaguars defense is loaded. Marquise Lee comes back this year. Nick Foles provides the stability at quarterback. Like I said, I think he does not get enough credit for how good he is. I think Nick Foles and this Jaguars team will surprise people. And also the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are a very good team. I like Phillip Lindsay. I like Cortland Sutton. I like their wide receivers. You know, I actually think their offensive line is very underrated. And Bradley Chubb and Von Miller are going to ball out this year now that Vic Fangio is the defensive head coach. And Joe Flacco provides stability at quarterback for them as well. Joe Flacco is not terrible at quarterback. He's not elite. He's not anything special. But he definitely is an upgrade over Case Keenum to me. Let's see here. What team did I miss right here? Also, yes, the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions to me are a very underrated team as well. They have one of the better defensive lines in all football with Trey Flowers, with Mike Daniels, with Sax Harrison. I think Matthew Stafford has some very underrated wide receivers. Matthew Stafford to me is a very underrated quarterback in the National Football League. I think he gets a little bit of a bad rap. He has pretty good running backs. The offensive line does need to stay healthy in my opinion. And honestly, guys, if the Lions were in an easier division, they probably would win more games. I'm going with 8 wins for the Lions this year. I think all these teams will get to the 8-win mark this season. Up next, Lamar Jackson and what's his name? Mitch Trubisky. Yes, Mitch Trubisky and Lamar Jackson to me are going to regress. Now teams have film on Mitch Trubisky and Lamar Jackson, okay? Lamar Jackson last year, he was dynamic, but he ran around a lot. And as a passer last year, he did not impress me. He only completed 58% of his passes last year, threw 6 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Now again, he won a lot of games, but I don't think the way Lamar Jackson plays is sustainable for a full season. Now that teams have a full offseason to dissect how Lamar Jackson plays, he's going to regress. He has to prove to me he can consistently win within the pocket. And last year, you saw versus the Chargers, when a team saw Lamar Jackson twice last year, the second time he looked absolutely terrible for 3.5 quarters versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm sorry, I'm just not a believer. And Mr. Trubisky too. Last year, towards the end of the season, look, Matt Nagy came with a lot of great new stuff for Mr. Trubisky. And I think Mr. Trubisky is a decent quarterback. But I do think he has a low ceiling. I don't see Mr. Trubisky taking that big leap this year. I had the Packers winning the division. I think Mr. Trubisky actually takes a step back. Now that teams have film on what Matt Nagy would love to do, I have the Packers winning that division. Okay, up next, the San Francisco 49ers to me are going to win their division. I'm a believer in Jimmy G. I'm a believer in Kyle Shanahan. I'm a believer in this 49ers defensive line. It's going to be one of the top 5 defensive lines in all football. DeForest Buckner, D Ford, Nick Bosa, Solomon Thomas. They're going to be one of the 5 best defensive lines in all football. Not to mention they added Quan Alexander, a Pro Bowl linebacker. Not to mention they added Jason Verrett to complement Richard Sherman this year. I think the 49ers defense is on the upward trend. And Jimmy G comes back this year. I think he's a well above average quarterback. I love their running backs. I love their wide receivers. And I think that they surprise a lot of people and win their division this year. I love what the 49ers did in the offseason. They potentially could have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense in my opinion. And I think the 49ers surprised a lot of people and doubled their wins at the very least this season. Up next, I believe the Cincinnati Bengals. I hate to say it because I'm from Ohio, but I'm a Packers fan, so I don't even care. I think the Bengals will finish with the worst record in football. I'm just not a believer in this Cincinnati team. They have a rookie head coach. They have the worst quarterback in their division in Andy Dalton, and they're just the worst team in their division. The division is very competitive. Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, they're all better teams than the Bengals. And the Bengals, to me, last year, they had one of the 3 worst defenses in all football. Statistics show this, too. The Bengals had the worst total defense last year. I don't believe in their defense. Their defensive line is pretty decent, but again, the secondary is a mess. The linebackers are a mess. The offensive line's a mess. Andy Dalton is not the answer quarterback. He has peaked. He does not elevate the teammates around him. Now A.J. Green's pretty much going to miss some time. Now their first-round pick, Jonah Williams, going to miss some time. I'm just not a believer in this Cincinnati Bengals team. I do think that the Cincinnati Bengals will be looking to move on from Andy Dalton after this year and potentially drafting Justin Herbert or Tua Tagovailoa. All right, up next, I think that Derek Carr and Jameis Winston are going to have their best seasons yet. I really do. Derek Carr, this is the best offense. I'm sorry, not best offense. This is the best wide receiver that Derek Carr has ever had in Antonio Brown. Also, he's the best running back that he's ever had in Josh Jacobs. Derek Carr now has weapons on offense, and the offensive line is better too with them adding Trent Brown. Okay, I think Derek Carr is now playing potentially for a starting spot next year. John Gruden has been talking. He potentially is looking at Tua Tagovailoa, potentially looking at Justin Herbert. If Derek Carr is not bought out this year, he's probably going to be gone. Okay, and also Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is now in his 5th season in the NFL. I think it's going to be finally the year that he breaks through and proves all the haters wrong and proves that he is indeed the future of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers under Bruce Arians. This Bruce Arians guy, the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, he's a great head coach. He's worked with Andrew Luck. He helped Big Ben Roethlisberger win a Super Bowl, okay? He's worked with Peyton Manning. He helped revive Carson Palmer's career. If Jameis Winston cannot get it done with Bruce Arians, I don't know what to tell him. I think Jameis Winston gets it done this year, and I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers surprising a lot of people, and Jameis Winston playing his best season yet, guys. Next up, I believe Saquon Barkley will lead the league in rushing. Saquon Barkley was second last year to Ezekiel Elliott in rushing. Not to mention the fact that that was behind one of the worst offensive lines in all football. Now the Giants' offensive line is better. Still not nowhere near elite, but it's still definitely a much better and improved offensive line. Dave Gettleman has done a good job of really trying to improve that offensive line. And to me, Saquon Barkley is going to be relied on heavily. Eli Manning and Daniel Jones are not doing it at quarterback. And I think that Saquon Barkley is going to be ran a lot this year. We're going to see a lot of Saquon Barkley. And to me, Saquon Barkley is just that special. I loved him coming out of Penn State, and I think he's going to establish himself, if he's not already, as the best running back in football this season. Up next, Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott's going to have his best season yet and lead the Cowboys back to the playoffs. Listen, Dak Prescott is at that point in his career, about 3rd, 4th year, usually between the third and fifth year for young quarterbacks is really when they start to peak. And now Dak Prescott is in his fourth season starting. This is a guy that had the second most wins behind Tom Brady these past 3 seasons, guys, okay? Dak Prescott has the most weapons that he's ever had in his career. Amari Cooper, Randall Cobb, Michael Gallup is no longer a rookie. You got Jason Witten. And then also, the Dallas defense is elite. They're going to be able to, keep games close. Dak Prescott is going to be able to be in a lot of close games. I think he will close the deal. And now he's also playing for a contract, guys. Dak Prescott wants to get paid a lot of money. Usually quarterbacks in contract years ball out. Now the fact that Dak Prescott has Amari Cooper for a full season, now that this offensive line returns Travis Frederick this year, I think this Dallas Cowboys team is going to win close to 10 games. I think their offensive line returns to elite form. And I think that Dak Prescott will ball out in a contract year. And Tony Pollard is good enough to, hold it down for when Ezekiel Elliott potentially misses games. My next bold prediction is Baker Mayfield. Again, I'm going more Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is going to throw over 35 touchdown passes this year. I think he'll throw at least 35 touchdown passes. Okay, listen, like I said, in 14 games, he threw 27 last year, guys. Now, Hugh Jackson is gone. Once Hugh Jackson was let go from the Cleveland Browns, okay, Baker Mayfield was putting up Patrick Mahomes type numbers in the second half of the season. He's going to ball out this year. The offensive line does worry me a little bit, but again, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Antonio Callaway, David Njoku has still yet to break out. I think that Baker Mayfield is going to be in the MVP conversation this year. The guy just has it. When you watch him play, he's an accurate quarterback, has a strong arm, he has everything you want in a quarterback. I think Baker Mayfield will throw at least 35 touchdowns this season. Okay, up next, Josh Rosen. To me, Josh Rosen is going to suck once again. I hate to say it. I don't want to say it, but Josh Rosen's not going to be in for a good season either at all this year. I don't believe in him. Listen, last year, the Arizona Cardinals did him a disservice last year. They were not a good football team. They had bad wide receiver play, and they had bad offensive line play. And it's pretty much the same in Miami. It really is. Bad offensive line, not very good wide receivers in my opinion. A rookie head coach in Brian Flores that I have questions about. And again, I know it's not particularly fair to Josh Rosen, but because last year, like I said, Josh Rosen had pretty much no help. He had no support last year. The Arizona Cardinals did not set up Josh Rosen last year to succeed. But Josh Rosen, even last year, could have played better. He looked overwhelmed. He was late on a lot of throws. Josh Rosen, it seemed like the game was a little too fast for Josh Rosen last year. And I just think Josh Rosen is going to be overwhelmed once again. He's pretty much coming into the same exact situation. And again, guys, I feel bad for Josh Rosen. He's handled the Arizona Cardinals situation as a professional. But again, I just don't believe in this Miami team. I don't think they've surrounded him with enough great parts for him to succeed. And overall, even coming out of college, guys, I was not sold on Josh Rosen. I'm just not sold on him once again. I don't think Josh Rosen will have a good year either. All right, listen. Greedy Williams to me, yes, Greedy Williams is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He reminds me a lot of Marshawn Lattimore when Marshawn Lattimore came out of Ohio State. I don't know how Greedy Williams fell to where he fell in the NFL draft. To me, he was even potentially a top 15 pick. I don't know how he slipped to the second round, but the Cleveland Browns are going to find an absolute gem in Greedy Williams. They're gonna target Greedy Williams a lot because Denzel Ward is on one side. Greedy Williams will get a lot of opportunities to intercept passes and knock passes down. I think Greedy Williams will, have at least 4 interceptions this year. And I think he will be the cornerstone to, him and Denzel Ward potentially being one of the best cornerback tandems in all of the National Football League. I'm a big believer in Greedy Williams. I think he will ball out this year. Up next, the Minnesota Vikings. I think they will finish last in the NFC North. They're going to finish last in their division. It's not due to talent. It's just due to the fact that I think the teams that are in the division are just a little bit better. I think the Lions have made major improvements this year. I think the Lions win 8 games this year. I see the Bears winning 8, 9, or 10 games this year. I have the Packers winning 10 or 11 games this year. So again, I just think this Minnesota Vikings window is closed. It's over with. It's done for. I don't believe in Kirk Cousins. The defense is old, okay? The Lions, Packers, Bears, they all improved. And again, I just think this window is closed for Minnesota. They're a good team. I would not be shocked if they prove me wrong. But just due to the fact that the NFC North is so stacked, I'm not believing that the Minnesota Vikings will finish any higher than last in their division. Their window is officially closed. A couple more, 2 more actually. DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf to me is going to prove that he's the best wide receiver coming out of this draft, and he will have a breakout rookie season. DK Metcalf landed in the perfect situation for him. To me, DK Metcalf was arguably the best wide receiver coming out of this draft. I understand he had a slower 3-cone shuttle than Tom Brady. I totally get it. But when I watched that film, DK Metcalf made nothing but plays at Ole Miss. Now he gets Russell Wilson, a top 4 quarterback in all of football, to throw him footballs. Now you're going to set up play action and have DK Metcalf running down the field. The Seattle Seahawks needed a deep threat wide receiver. He's going to be relied on heavily because now Doug Baldwin is retired. Now Tyler Lockett is the number 1 wide receiver, okay? So now they need some help at wide receiver. And I think DK Metcalf is going to be very, very good. I have DK Metcalf absolutely breaking onto the scene. He fits in perfectly with what the Seahawks love to run on their offense. They love to run play action and take deep shots down the field, and DK Metcalf is great at doing that. DK Metcalf will ball out this year. And the last one is Patrick Mahomes will throw at least 15 interceptions. I think Patrick Mahomes takes a slight step back this year. Now again, guys, I'm a big Patty Mahomes fan. I've said in the past, he's arguably the most talented quarterback in NFL history, not named Aaron Rodgers. I think Patrick Mahomes has a chance to be a top 10 quarterback of all time. And I'm all in on Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs have a chance to be a dynasty with him at quarterback. But again, now teams have film on Patrick Mahomes. And dare I say, can Patrick Mahomes' confidence be at such a high level because he dominated the league so much that, you know, he kind of thinks, yeah, I can get away with this. He's a gunslinger, guys. He's going to take some risks. He's going to throw some interceptions. So again, to me, Patrick Mahomes will take just a slight step back this year. I'm not quite sold on the Chiefs this year. I love Patrick Mahomes for the future, but this year, I think he will suffer somewhat of a sophomore slump. I said Patrick Mahomes regressing just a little bit this year. You know, I think people that think the Chiefs can potentially win the Super Bowl just need to slow down a tad bit. But hey, either way, those are my bold predictions, guys, for the 2019-20 NFL season. Be sure to comment all the things you agree with me and disagree with me on. I love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video today. Be sure to smash this like button right now if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you're new as well. I do post a ton of great sports videos weekly and almost every single day if I can. A fun fact about me is I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world. I want to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. Kind of like Colin Cowherd, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp. You get the point. Okay, I want to do sports, television, and radio for a full living once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. So the best thing you guys can do to just help me continue to grow as a young broadcaster is to just share this channel with all your friends, because potentially if this channel really gets somewhere, I want to start my own network, okay? You know, or potentially if it doesn't, you know, or if I fall a little bit short, I want to go into a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. So the best thing you guys can do to just flat out just help me grow as a broadcaster, help me learn, you know, get other people hip to this channel, you know, just share this channel with all your friends, share this channel on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, all that good stuff. Also, be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. And once again, guys, just share this channel with everyone you know. Get everyone hipped and watching these videos. Get my voice out there and heard. Share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, all that good stuff. It's been your boy, Ghiman Mckinney, or you can just call me Juice. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in today. I really do. Have a God bless day. Stay motivated, you guys, and I'm out.